Greetings, everyone. Nate the Nerdarch here from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with a nerd.
Staff partner Megan Miller. Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about whatever we feel like talking about. It's just staff writer Megan, who she also participates in the game with Dave, Nerdarchist Dave, the Scarlet Sisterhood, and whatever she wants to talk about, whatever I want to talk about, and whatever the chat wants to talk about, of course, as soon as I bring up the chat. Oh, listening to myself.
Oh, there it goes.
I fixed it. So, anything of particular interest you wanted to discuss?
Oh man. Okay. So I'm going to get this out of the way early. I really need submissions for my Speak with Dead article. I have one right now. I try to get in at least 3, but I need your questions. Maxwell the Mad needs your questions.
Okay. That would be something we can drum up. And if we, why don't you go a little bit into your Speak with Dead series a bit, and that will give them an idea on what kind of questions have already been answered through the Speak with Dead series, and what could come ahead,
So back when I was in high school, I was really lame, and the highlight of my week was this weekly thing that they did where it was an advice column by a Klingon and a Ferengi that were like prisoners on some space station. And it was like my favorite thing. I thought that was the funniest thing in the whole wide world. And so I really wanted to do something kind of like that with a weekly article on the Nerdarchy website. And the thing that popped into my head was to use a necromancer because, I mean, necromancers get hilarious. Like, you go and make so many dead puns, and it's just not the kind of solid advice that you would expect to get from people. Like, this is not the kind of thing that you want to take and actually run with in your real life, and that's like the worst person to be getting advice from. And so that's what I wanted to do. So I asked Dave and Ted and Doug about it, and they were all pretty on board, and I was really excited, and I'm still really excited.
Great. So it's basically advice column from a necromancer.
Yes, it is an advice column from a necromancer, and she's a little batty and definitely not the kind of person that you want to be getting your advice from. But so basically anything from like one of your D&D characters, or if you personally have advice, because the meta that we've got set up here is that there's like some kind of weird portal going on, and like we, the Nerdarchy staff, are translating modern things to this necromancer in this fantasy setting.
Oh, well, it's magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It solved the problem right there. It's magic. Maybe she has like a mirror that she talks to.
Oh my gosh, like she thinks it's a mirror, but actually it's a computer monitor, and she doesn't really know how it works completely.
There you go.
It's like, I just press the letters and things come up.
Well, you press the runic keys that initiate the different spell sequences.
Right.
That reminds me, I had a game called Virium. It's a campaign setting, and it had a past, a modern, and a future setting. And one of the things about it was this kind of like Magitech kind of feel to it. And this modern group had things they called screen. It was spelt. It sounds like screen, like television screen, but it's spelt similar to scrying.
Right. I like that.
And then it was like a sphere, a giant sphere that displayed different images with inside it. And you typed, it was just giant panel that went all the way around it, and you typed the different keypads basically to initiate different things. And you could basically, it's like remote viewing for large sections of space. And so it kind of had that, it had that back in the day feel. Like they decided the crystal ball was the penultimate version of viewing something from afar. So it had to be a sphere, a glass sphere, even in modern day.
Yeah, I dig that a lot. I really like Magitech. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
No, we haven't talked much actually. I see you playing Scarlet Sisterhood, and I think we've had a few writers discussions. Like But aside from that, we don't really get to chat too much. Well, we've got the writing thing on the side that we're working on, but
yeah,
it's more about like business stuff. But yeah, Magitech, I dig it a lot. I think, you know, better feature through Magic is the way I like to view Magic. I know it kind of gets rid of the mystique and ooh ah feel to it, but I think it's a natural progression of what people would do as mages became more common, and if it's just studying hard and being smart that allows you to make mages more common, then it's just like a natural evolution of what would happen.
oh yeah, that is absolutely how mages would look at it, because they're not doing this as some like hoo-ha poof stuff. They're like actually thinking about the breakdown of how this stuff works, and like if there's something that they could do to make their spell more powerful, like if it's like in laying some kind of metal in the ground and like casting the specific circle to, you know, make the spell go further, they're gonna do that. Like they're crazy, they're gonna do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think people are up in towers figuring out how to make chimeras. They're going to figure out like, oh, how to make this spell better than the one I did last week, or you know, here's a summoning circle. Can I summon something that's a little bigger than this? And sometimes they die, and then their apprentice will find their book in the ruins of their lab and go, oh, he's made quite a good progress. I think I'll check this out for myself, and maybe he'll live and figure it out. But you know, it's the natural march of time of how Magic would continue is the way I see it. So Eberron, I think, makes a cool attempt at Magitech, but it doesn't have that Magitech feel to me anyway. Like Final Fantasy, I feel like does a good job with Magitech stuff, and I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy games.
Oh yeah, actually, like bringing that together with something that was just mentioned in the chat. Dr. Bill just mentioned Aether Ball, which is like, it's pretty much Blitzball except with ether instead of water, and you know, we're not even pretending that it's not, but like the fact that people would, and absolutely people would, if they had access to Magic, use it to create sports. Like that is 100% something that would happen, like as a natural progression of having access.
Go ahead.
No, go on. I was pretty much done.
Okay. Well, think about how we use technology right now. We're sitting talking about what about Magic? You know, like, well, you could do some amazing things with the technology that people just use to use the internet and all the other stuff that goes into play. And I was just thinking about the process. I was thinking like, what was the processing speed to make like virtual Dungeons and Dragons and have everybody have their own like virtual set and everything? And like that would be a lot of processing power. But what's that like? I don't know, 10 Xboxes and you've got it. So that's, you know, within price ranges in a certain amount of time, because computers get, you know, so advanced at, you know, at a certain rate. We're not doubling every whatever months. We're not following that. I forget what the progression is called, but the doubling of technology every 18 months or 2 years or whatever. We're not following that precisely anymore, but we still have a buildup. So, and you know, like quad cores and octa cores and all that kind of stuff. So I was thinking, well, we're using something really amazing that can do a lot of stuff in the world, and we're using it to play and goof off and talk on the internet.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, one of my favorite games is Mech Warrior Online, and that is playing as a mech in a strategic game, which is kind of like a first-person shooter in a mech. So it's a bit more complicated, but at the same time, it's, you know, looks beautiful and fantastic, and the physics is really great, but it is just me goofing off. It's not me trying to solve any of the world's problems. And so I think Aether Ball is a good example of what you would do with Magic when you had a lot of it and you had access to it. And people said, an unseen servant made service, or someone who creates a second level spell for something just as simple as cleaning, like the Spectral Butler. I have a spell like that I made that I want to put somewhere in a game. It's like that concept. Oh yeah, Moore's Law, right? So Moore's Law, yes. I think he put an S on accident in there. So Moore's Law. But yeah, we don't.
Well, Cardinal spelled it right.
Yeah, somebody did. So yeah, absolutely. It's like, well, a Spectral Butler service I think would be great.
For people. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm dyslexic, and sometimes I say words and they come out wrong in my head.
That happens. So yeah, that's just, I feel like a natural progression. And I feel fantasy is a good setting to have where you're just doing magic as like a very, you know, arcane and mysterious thing. But I think as you get further along, if you keep magic, it kind of blends with technology, or technology just gets like, oh yeah, a steam engine, that's great, or we could just shove an air elemental in it. and when you think about how much of a pain in the butt all the resources and everything gathering it together to make a steam engine, and you could just say, well, we could just summon an air elemental. So just find the wizard. He's like taking a lunch break or something.
And then, if we had had access to air elementals in real life, that is exactly what we would have done. And then you would have had people protesting that that's slavery. And I love that too. I love like the natural social fallout of things that happen in fantasy settings that we don't think about too much.
Yeah, like then you call the question like, well, what's the personhood of an air elemental, and does it have feelings? Because people like to think if something has feelings, then it invalidates it. So
Megan's live streaming.
Sorry, that was my brother.
That was okay. Sometimes you just got to tell people what you're doing. I'm not talking to myself today, anyway.
No, sometimes, not today.
Yeah, not today. So about the ether ball, and that's in the ether sky. What is that? The beginning of the end?
Yes.
Ether skies. And that's really interesting to watch because, first off, I've never played in an open legend game. I've just kind of seen them. And I've also, I haven't made a character in an open legend game. So it's kind of nice to see the whole progression of it. Man,
I wasn't sure about it at first, but like after playing it, I love that system so much. It's ridiculous. Like the fact that you can sit there and like roll and all the dice explode and you get up to some pretty ridiculous modifiers that way. And that just makes me really happy. I feel like that should be able to happen because those are exactly the kinds of things that you remember at a tabletop.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like there are some, it creates great stories or memorable instances. So I find that's one of the really cool things about it is the exploding dice. I wonder how difficult that would be to port that over to. I think the one thing we could probably do it for damage and for ability checks, but it wouldn't make sense for certain things like in Dungeons and Dragons, for example, you crit on a 20, so you wouldn't roll the die again because. Unless
that's not even a part of your damage; it's a different roll.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I mean, for the attack rolls for that, is that do you roll the 20? Do you roll for the attack and you just keep rolling that so you can have like a really high attack, or does that not factor into it?
Well,
I mean,
attacks work a little bit differently, if I recall correctly. Like you're just straight up rolling your attack, and I think if after you hit their defense, then the damage you do is whatever goes over their defense.
Okay.
So that would make it a little bit difficult to implement in D&D. I could see it working way better in 3.5 than 5e though, because everything in 5e is crunched all together, and you couldn't really you don't get ridiculous numbers in 5e, and that is one thing that I really miss about 3.5.
Well, I don't miss the 50 armor classes and stuff and trying to figure out how to hit that. But I do.
Man, I really do.
I guess it's the design philosophy. I really like the bounded accuracy and the idea that if you get a benefit, it's just advantage, and if you get a disadvantage, if you get a negative, you can just make it disadvantage rather than eking out all these different pluses. Because I guess when you focus on that, what you say to yourself is, I'm not going to make 5 to 10 to 20 feats down the line that I'll give you +1 based on something, or in certain situations, because it doesn't add that way. It just says, well, it would just be advantage, and if you already have advantage, you don't get triple advantage. So you kind of just stop there with the adding of stacking of different things. It is fun, when I the mathy part of me likes it.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that really likes 3.5 and Pathfinder style game. But for running a game, I really enjoy running 5e compared to Pathfinder and 3.5.
I feel like 5e is objectively better from a math standpoint. I feel like it is way better balanced. It's much easier to play. I just personally have a thing for watching those numbers get ridiculously high. Like, it makes me excited. I like it as a person. It doesn't mean I think it's right. I just like it better.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, you know, the attraction of using the biggest damage weapon or doing the most damage as a fighter or a mage. You're just like, I get to roll all these dice. It's going to be ridiculous. Yeah, there's
crazy crit ranges. Like, I had a Stalker of Karash once that had, like, it was something ridiculous, like a 9 to 20 crit range, because I was using Kaordi Resin Scimitars or something. I don't know. Like, it was a long time ago.
It can, well, yeah. Again, like it is easy to kind of stack all that up when you get into the small rule changes and like, oh, this prestige class, or did they call them prestige classes? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think.
You know, this prestige class with
prestige,
this
yes.
weapon and you know this magic item, and that means I get this many attacks, and they're all going to be ridiculous crit range. Practically at 9 to 20, it's like if you hit, you crit them. Most of the time. Oh, you had the confirmed crits back then. That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you had to do that nonsense.
Sorry, I'm distracted. And now I can't find my screen again. There we go. I swear I've done this before. Greetings, everybody in chat. Let me know if you have any questions. And I've noticed a lot of different comments, but I did not see any questions. So if I missed a question, let me know. So as far as the Speak with Dead, I really like that. In fact, Doug and I were talking about a series that we want to do videos on, either live stream or in person based on who's in it. Obviously, if someone's over in Ohio, we're not going to be like, you know, you must come over here to do this video. So we want to do this kind of like theatric thing where it's like theater of the mind is the idea, but it's the RP aspect of two characters interacting, and you can basically like set the scene, and then you kind of have an idea of where you're going to go, like, and you understand each other's characters, so you can kind of work the scene a little bit rather than just react to each other. It's not going to be like not super improv acting, but not scripted.
Right.
You know what I mean? So kind of got like we understand the flow of what's going to happen, but we don't necessarily know what's going to be said based on what the characters are and like kind of what the beginning and end. Almost as if we've both decided the dungeon mastering part of the beginning and like how the conversation is going to flow and then what's going to happen towards the end. But we both basically have these characters and so I'd want to see. I guess I want to kind of drum up interest for that and see who wants to actually see it, because it'll take a little more prep time and also getting into designing a really fleshed out character concept to portray, plus getting into that character is not just something you can do like 5 of in a row and be done.
Right.
Unless you're extremely good. But, you know.
I like it. I really like that, actually. That sounds really interesting.
So I think that could go along as well as with an article style. You could do the video. The video could be done, and then an article could follow after that. And I think that would be really cool. And so if you have any special characters that you'd like to portray, you know, just keep them in mind. Okay. We'll ask the writers and a few other people who are interested in doing that.
So
you've got go ahead.
Yeah, Doug asks, what is the most rewarding part of the Scarlet Sisterhood game for Megan? And I'm going to be honest with you. It's the fact that I have made so many friends this way. Like, yeah, we're on screen, we RP together, but we also, like, chat on the side a lot. Like, I talk to Jen, for example, about as much as I do most of my other online friends, and she is just the most amazing person. And I am about 98% sure I wouldn't have met these people otherwise. Like, I love Bex, I love Sam. Like, they're just really fun people to know.
I miss Vex.
Oh, I miss Vex too.
I think she was on the live chat the other day.
Yeah, she was.
Yes, yesterday, wasn't
it? I didn't know about yesterday. I just knew that she was on watching the last session.
Oh, she was as well? Okay. Yeah, so it was nice to see her on. Yeah, that's a good point. I've met a lot of people that, you know, they were separated by hundreds of miles, so I would never have just like walked into a store randomly and found them and said, "Hey, you want to go play D&D online?" or come back to my place and play some D&D. So that like, you know, like you said, that camaraderie that develops from playing a game together and you know, interacting and talking out of the game is a really cool way to make new friends that you wouldn't have made otherwise.
Yeah, nobody is ever that bold in real life.
That's true for the most part. We met, well, you know what? We met Scott Garibay during a yo-yo event. So,
really?
Yeah, and then from there we just kind of like hung out. But we were already kind of doing like it was in Tiki Tiki War Games, so we were kind of like in a nerdy setting, and just started chilling and talking. So
that is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that did happen, but I mean, we've also met many other people, and that didn't happen. So it's definitely, yeah, like a special kind of circumstance that occurs. Okay, so what's your favorite RP setting? Is a question for both of us from Comic Book University.
I would literally move to Shadowrun if I had the option to do so. Like, actually myself get up and move there and live there instead of here.
All right, so Shadowrun it is.
Yeah.
You know what? I like to play in Dark Sun, but I would never live there.
Oh no.
And
no.
I enjoy Spelljammer, but I feel like I would enjoy adding Spelljammer to anything. I'd like it to be an option, I guess. So whatever setting, as long as there's a chance that I could find a ship and get on it and you know, spelljamming helm and take off someplace, I think that would be pretty cool. So I enjoy.
That would be pretty cool.
I enjoy both those settings.
Man, I'm actually really salty that I'm not an elf right now.
Well, I couldn't tell at first. When I first saw you, I was like, I don't know what those are. Are those prosthetics?
Oh, no, they're headphones. That's my headset.
Yeah, I found out. I didn't ask ever, but somebody else asked, I think, and found out they were a headset. And I was like, that's a really cool headset. Do you get ear fatigue with those?
No, they're actually really comfortable. I forget I'm wearing them, and sometimes they'll go all day and they'll just like still be on. Like I pop the buds out when I'm talking to other people, and it's just, you know, they are on Amazon. I think if you type in Elfir headphones, they're the first thing that pops up. Let me check that. Yeah, they are. Type in Elfir headphones. The first thing that pops up is eBay, but I got them off of Amazon and they came in one piece. So, you know.
Amazon link in the description. Helps us out. Yeah, so Amazon's a good place to get those too. Yeah.
So
cool.
Todd Boyce is asking what it is about those settings that we enjoy. And Shadowrun, I just really like the high tech, the way that people talk to each other. The slang is a really big thing for me. Like I really enjoy the fact that it seems like just organic internet slang that people are using with each other, and like you're just walking down the street and there are elves and trolls and stuff, and I'm just, it vibes with me really hard. I love it a lot.
So I bet you're going to enjoy, at least going to see, whether or not you actually enjoy the film, the what is it, Bright with Will Smith? Yeah, I was like, I wonder if that's going to be good or not. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I guess it is a movie. I thought it was going to be a TV series. I don't know how I had that in my head, but
I thought it was going to be, well, you know what? I wished it was going to be a TV series, and I looked at it and I'm like, wait, this kind of looks like they're showing me way too much information for it not to be wrapped up in a movie style kind of thing. Now, I didn't say that because it was Shadowrun. I said it because of the you know, elves and trolls walking around, because I don't actually feel like people were like trying to equate that to Shadowrun. I'm not a Shadowrun expert, but I didn't see Shadowrun when I saw that.
Yeah, I'm not really getting exactly the same vibe, but it's close enough that I know it's going to be up my alley.
Yeah, so I didn't want to equate the two, because I feel like it isn't Shadowrun, but it's modern. You know, it's like D&D modern, basically, is what I looked at it as. And Shadowrun isn't D&D modern. They're just not the same. They don't have the same feeling, anyway, to me. So what I like about Dark Sun is I like the harshness of it. I like the reinvention of some of the races and how some of the races aren't available. Because especially from where I was coming from with second edition, I was looking at second edition. I was like, oh, okay, this is the way it is. It's like very Tolkien-esque and stuff. And Darkson kind of like broke all of that. And you know, it's a world on its way out. But you don't fixate upon that. You just fixate upon living through that, through the world. So I enjoy those aspects of it. And it's got psionics. I should have probably said that first. In order of why I like it, psionics is really first. Because I was annoyed with liking psionics so much, but finding that psionics was always a optional thing. It was so optional, like it wasn't even in the second edition book. It was put out later. Similarly, how they're doing Mystic, I was like, come on, guys, you could have wrapped it up. It could have been the first edition in which, well, except for way back in the day, it could have been the edition in which, you know, all the classes show up and there's a 13th class, very appropriate. It's the 13th class. You know, it could have been in book. But no, it's just going to be that side thing that, you know, you can add if you want to. And I like how you could technically do that with every single class. It even says it in the beginning of the 12 classes that these are the most common. It's not like they're all there all the time. So you can strip out classes or add classes as you wish, but it would have been nice to have it be something a DM has to say, I do not want this class in and I'm taking it out, rather than something I have to ask as the player, can I have this? Like it's something weird and out there. Which it is weird and out there, but confine it to the rules and it's part of the rule system then. So
yeah, and at this point it's a kind of weird that most of us know.
Yeah, we're familiar with this kind of strange, basically. If we've played D&D or RPGs long enough. Why I like Spelljammer is I like D&D in space. I like fantasy space stuff. And I like space in general. I heavily listen to people who like theorize and kind of walk through how we would do different things in space, like Dyson swarms and different things like having habitats up in space, like cylinder habitats up in space, or how are we going to like colonize the local area and stuff, different things like that. I listen to all that kind of stuff. Isaac Arthur's a really good person for listening to that has that all well thought out. So I like that aspect of it, but I don't want to like RP Star Trek.
Right.
I like the fantasy element, the like kind of not scientifically valid, but still have that feeling of being in space and doing things on like out there rather than being confined to one area. It's like a lot of freedom. If you've got the spell power and you can find a helm, you can go anywhere you want.
I dig that. Yeah, I really like Star Trek, but I don't think it would make for a compelling like sit down RP with most people. You'd have to have a really specific group to get Star Trek right.
Well, I mean, if they all like Star Trek, if they're super big Star Trek fans, it's probably going to be like, oh, great, a Star Trek game.
That is not my group of friends.
Yeah, and I know plenty of people who like Star Trek, but they're not super in love with Star Trek and want to play that above everything else. So.
But Dr. Bill, I'm actually really surprised to hear that the creator of Shadowrun doesn't like that elves and dwarves were included in the system, and I feel like that would really take something out of it if they weren't there. Like one of my favorite things about it is the fact that you've got humanists and you've got like all these like fantasy race war. Yes, like I really enjoy the like socio-political aspect of the fact that there are so many meta types. So it would totally ruin it for me if they weren't there.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're playing like Blade Runner or something.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't mind, but it wouldn't be the same thing.
Thinking about it, I mean, it might not be as cool as the movie, but, you know, it could still be a lot of fun playing in that kind of world. But it's like really grungy and kind of, it's a bit different feel, I think, than Shadowrun. And there would be no magic, so that's another problem. Is there regular magic in Shadowrun?
Yeah, you've got mages.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's not just shamanism.
Yeah, it was like World of Darkness, Mage, and a whole bunch of stuff was smashing together in my mind. I'm like, all right, trying to separate separate these all out in their categories. I'm like, mages and Shadowrun, yeah. So what was it about? Oh yeah, happy birthday to Dave. It's his birthday today.
Oh yeah. Happy leveling up day, Dave. Makes you feel less old to say it like that. Or so I
Yes.
hear. It's also my dad's birthday, so
Oh,
that's
happy birthday.
interesting.
Cool. Well, happy
I
birthday to
think
him.
it's cool that they share a birthday.
Yeah, that is really cool. I have my eldest son and my youngest son share a birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, they must hate that.
He kind of thinks it's cool. It's like a kid for his
Oh.
birthday present. Plus, he got stuff, so he got like a super birthday. But it was kind of a bummer. We thankfully, because we knew, she was very pregnant and it was going to be soon, and we're like, all right, well, we had the birthday parties ahead of time. So both kids that have birthday parties like within a week of each other. I could just have a party all week, really, at the end of July. I mean, at the end of June, and I would cover like most of my family members. So it's like within a like 8-day period or whatever, we have 4 birthdays, and then the other 2 are in October. Am I adding that right? 4 or 5? 5. Yeah, I'm right. Okay. Yeah, so Todd Boyce, question: as someone who's designed a Psionic class, can you elaborate on what it is about Psionics that you enjoy or that gets you excited about it? For Psionics, I just always liked checking out the weird stuff, I guess. So I've always I'm pretty adventurous in what I like look into and what I try and discover. So, but not like looking for obscure games. I don't find my interest in looking at like, well, what's an RPG that only like 500 people know about. Not that kind of direction, but more kind of direction of it, exploring reality and thinking about different things. And one of the things I liked about Psionics is it kind of broke. In a lot of ways, it broke the rules for how supernatural powers worked in Dungeons and Dragons, because it had this basically a spell pool. And it also had the ability to break the Vancian system of magic that they had in 2nd edition, which is where you memorize a spell, and then when you cast that spell, it was gone. And you had to basically put the magic, study the magic again, and like almost as if you were like slotting your brain with these different spells, and you had to take it out to have it affect the world. So that total change, basically, it would be like if they had sorcerers in 2nd edition. It would be like one of the coolest classes to play, because it was one of a really cool class to play when it came out in later editions. So it's like that kind of idea. You've got something that breaks most of the rules of how magic works. It's kind of not magic if you want it to be not magic, and it had a lot of different abilities and ways of doing things that might not have come up. You could do things that wizards weren't going to waste their time kind of figuring out, like taste link. Who the heck wants to learn how to do taste link? Well, it's there. It's like that. It's kind of cool in a way.
Somebody that is a poisoner and doesn't want people to know when they're using their best poison that happens to taste like walnuts or something.
Well, there you go. So you could also discover, I mean, that would be kind of crazy if you were a poisoner psionicist and you like some kind of assassin psion, and you taste linked people to test poisons on them. So you basically gained an understanding and knowledge, like expert level knowledge of tasting all these poisons without ever having died from any of them.
Yeah.
So that could be, yeah. And then sense link's really cool. So just like some of the clairvoyant stuff is really interesting because it changes the way you could solve problems, rather than, flying away from it, teleporting away from it, doing damage to it, or entrapping it. You had other ways of solving problems, which I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. So anytime you increase the amount of creative ways someone can solve an issue through just one character class being added, I think that's really cool. Oh, Todd Boyce, the follow-up question. A lot of Vancian aspects of D&D have been removed or minimized. How does that affect your liking of psionics then? Well, you know what? I still feel like even with the idea that you just have spells currently, known or memorized, and then you have your total spells that you have access to as a wizard, which has made them a lot more powerful and versatile. But I think it was an appropriate way. They had to move in that direction because it was too, I know it's fantasy, but at the same time, it has to follow certain logic rules. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like the Vancian magic system was just too much of a logic step between sorcerers who could just blam out magic. And then you had psionics who could just do all kinds of stuff. And then you had these wizards who were stuck within this rigid system of how everything had to work. And it just didn't, I don't think it jived with people that much. And it was just an annoying, I felt it to be an annoying aspect of spellcasting. So as they took it out, I just feel it was something that they needed to do. They needed to take out that like really rigid system of spellcasting. And that, I just feel like everything else has gotten closer to what I liked about psionics rather than my like of psionics being diminished from that. I mean, you could give everybody spell pools and I would still think psionics is cooler. You know what I mean? So, I mean, give sorcerers spell pools, give wizards spell pools, bard spell pools, whatever you want to do with it. But that's not going to make my diminish my interest in Lake of Psionics now. So it's the combination of all those things that I find interesting.
Yeah, I liked the PowerPoint system much better than the way magic worked in 3.5 generally as well.
You know what I have never liked? I have never liked. Okay, so hit points are this is like a gripe of mine with psionics. Hit points is abbreviated HP.
Mm-hmm.
And PowerPoints, I was just like, well, can we think of a different name, please?
Other than PP?
Yes. Yes. I know it's juvenile but it annoys me in such a way. It is. So I made up this whole like basically metaphor for psionics, and it was, basically you had this well of power, and when you drew up power from your well that you constructed in your mind, that's how you basically became psionic, as you developed this kind of like recess of power within your body, either by being constructed instantaneously through some kind of traumatic event, or by building it up over time, like some kind of, guy in the hills focusing on stuff. But it was this well, and you drew up power from it, and you drew, and basically each little increment of power was called a dram, to kind of go along with that water well metaphor. And I just like that better because it wasn't peepees, and that's pretty much it. I know it's a small thing, but it's just
the least mature sense of humor, and I will laugh at anything.
But I don't want to laugh at my psionics, damn it. Scratch Paper Games, thank you. Yeah, we just got over 40K a little bit ago. I think it was a day or two ago, and we're hitting a few milestones all over the place, so it's really exciting. Now on to 50.
So Doug asked if I was concerned if Kenna's empathy for monstrous entities would bite her literally in the butt at some point. And yeah, absolutely. Like that, it has bitten her in the butt. It will continue to do so. And that's not really something that she can actually change, because she's just not the kind of person that can kill someone until she's sure they deserve it.
And that's interesting, because that goes along with kind of, a personality flaw that you may die for. It might just so happen. You might not choose to say, yes, I have to stand by this even though I'm wrong. It's like, I don't know if you're curious about different entities, as well as thinking maybe kind of have that, well, how can it be my choice for whether or not they live or die?
Yeah.
How can anybody decide that, in a sense? But I guess to a certain point, there's a certain time where the balance has just fallen off the table, and you're like, yep, that person, they're it. Hold on. Sorry, I got it.
Yeah, no, there have definitely been instances where people have crossed the line, and Kenna has just been like, no, absolutely, that person, like, going down 100%. Like, I don't care when or where this happens, but eventually you're going to die, and it's going to be my fault.
Yeah, that's a good point. Doug, Jinker GM brings up a good point. What about platinum? Do the characters convert the gold to avoid awkward conversions? Like, I don't know exactly what that question. I thought it made sense, and then when I read it out loud, it did not. So clarification, please. All right. Yeah, so I try to, like, when I have a lawful good cleric, and I try and platinum pieces. Yeah. I'm fine with it there. I don't care. Whatever.
Nobody ever really abbreviates it like in conversation in game anyway. Like it's not like you're gonna go to the store and be like, "Hey, blacksmith, I've got GP here."
That's true. Yeah. And you know what? I'm fond of Electrum as far as that's concerned anyway. So
I hate
platinum pieces
Electrum. I hate it so much.
Oh, it looks so pretty though, like actual Electrum.
Like, yeah, it's pretty, but then you've got like these coins that are like this really weird value compared to the rest of the coins, and it's not easy, and I don't like it.
Hey, the $2 bill was very popular. That's why you don't see it anywhere. Yeah, it's like the $2 bill. It basically of fantasy games is the Electrum piece. And some fantasy games make it worth more, which it can't be unless your platinum is really undervalued.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what should happen is Electrum should actually be worth less than gold, unless for some reason they consider the alloying process to be very difficult, because it's actually silver and gold together. So it should actually be worth like 5. It should actually be worth like 8 silver pieces, which I'm glad they did not do. But
yeah, 5 is
that would be
better.
really terrible. I mean,
already making my brain itch without being a crazy number.
But if it was like 5 silver pieces, that's cool. It's like worth half a gold. Really easy numbers to divide. But yeah, worth 2 gold pieces was a really annoying amount.
I actually got plastic coins and like some little, the little plastic gems that people use for like damage counters and Magic the Gathering and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so I got a bunch of those and then a bunch of like plastic coins and things, and I actually hand my players currency at the table, and I don't deal with Electrum. Like, we don't do that nonsense. Also, it would be really hard to find a plastic Electrum coin.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, you know what? There are so many Kickstarters going on throughout the time that they do different coins and different fantasy coins. I'm sure you could, if you wanted to, but plastic coins are way cheaper.
Oh yeah, I just got the I went to gosh, I can't remember the name of the store. It was like a Hobby Lobby type place anyway, and they had like these bags of plastic coins for children's birthday parties, and I just bought a whole bunch of them, and that's what I use.
Wow, we got monetary system hate going on in the comments here. I don't recall, is J.K. Rowling's money system that bad, or is this some kind of other reference that I'm not getting?
It's like 7 sickles in a galleon and 14 nuts in a sickle. I mean, it's base 7 if I'm not mistaken. Let me look that up because I'm not at all sure about that.
I think that has to do with Magic, base 7, 7.
Yeah, that would make sense. No, there are 29 nuts in a sickle and 17 sickles in a galleon.
All right, 29, that's a bit stupid.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's a bit weird.
And also, I feel ashamed of myself for not knowing that off the top of my head. 14-year-old me is shaking her head right now.
Like, how could you forget? Always remember the monetary system in a fake world. You know what? I really dug those books, but yeah, the monetary system. I think it was for quirkiness. What are those 2 prime numbers? 29 and 7. Do we got a 17 in there as well? Yeah,
it was 17 sickles in a galleon.
Oh, okay, 17. Okay, yes, it looked like they were going for prime numbers, like no basis.
Right. I guess like, that makes sense. I mean, they're wizards. They're weird.
Yeah, I think that's the strange. I think she was going for strangeness factor.
We do have a request for roll call.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, and I'll read some more comment stuff.
Yay. I love roll call.
Roll call was spelled incorrectly, Comic Book University. That's why I did not understand what you were asking for.
I speak fluent typo.
Yes. Oh, good. That's a very important writer skill. So, Doug, the ratio of mineral rarities is different than on Earth. Then that would not work because silver would be more valuable then. See what I'm saying is Electrum has to be valued in between silver and gold if you're going for value of the metals or value for the monetary system, because it's a mixture of both silver and gold. Now, if you want to cheat all the world and make a cheaper alloy than gold that is actually considered more valuable than gold because you say it is, well, then you've just created the American money system where we print out paper and say it's worth a certain amount. So at that point, you're no longer on the gold standard if Electrum is worth more than gold. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so starting the roll call. Did you want to read the roll call, or I'll go with it?
Oh, can I read the roll call? I want to read the roll call.
Oh yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
Yay. Okay. I am from the butt crack of Ohio. Okay, so we've got Steph Ryder Doug from Cleveland, Joshua Brickley from Ha 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 Ha. Comic Book University is in Platinum Flats right now. Joshua Brickley, okay, actually Oregon. AJ Kinney, that's not a place. Okay. I think Jinker GM is also from Ohio because he said go Buckeyes. I hope that's what that means. Hello. Tesmic in Australia, Scratch Paper Games in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
Okay, yes. Fraginator in SeaTac, Washington. Lincoln, Linkopeg, Sweden. Sweden's cool. Kurt from Knoxville, Tennessee. AJ Kinney, Lopez Island, Washington. Ivan Heikkinen, is that how you pronounce that? Trapped underneath the mountains of Canada. Todd Boyce, Dallas, Texas. Yes, Jinker GM is from Ohio. Tom Harris, Seymour, Indiana. Andrew Vela, Corpus Christi, Texas. Bluntman, Alex, Ukraine. Good name. I enjoy that. Yes, that is what we got. Heikkinen.
Yeah, I just always want to say Hadouken when he tries to do it phonetically for us. I'm like Hadouken, and it's not even close to Hadouken. T. Russ Monter in Iowa. So I was laughing while you were doing that because I just put Comic Book University in timeout for his comments. You punned too far, sir. You punned too far.
No such thing.
Well, I decided that it was happening. So
Be a rebel. Continue to pun from prison. You sent him to the penitentiary.
Oh, that's great. I hope he enjoys his punishment. Ted would be proud of us right now.
Yeah.
He would be proud of Comic Book University too, but Ted, if you're on, I would ban you too. Take that. I didn't ban him. I just put him in timeout. I don't know how long timeout is. Oh no, the feed might be over by the time he comes back. I'd feel bad then. I can't untime out him though. I don't think.
Oh, you actually put him in timeout. Like that wasn't a joke.
No, it wasn't.
Oh no.
The power.
Oh, Doug knows. It's 5 minutes. It's not so bad.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad. It's already been like 2 minutes.
Oh.
The power, corrupting power. Yeah, so I would definitely like to see more of that Speak with Dead series. And if you want to, I would say if you want to branch out into the theater of the mind kind of concept, Doug and I have a name for it, but I'll tell you all.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to take it. It's so good.
Oh, I'm so
it's
excited.
Like brilliant, Doug said. So it's like, oh, this is amazing. Everyone in the comments, you'll find out. Anyone that's watching later, you'll find out later what it's actually called when we actually show the video for it. So, but I actually have to cut it short soon. So, anything in the next like 5 minutes that you'd want to talk about, I have to meet with some people.
Well, I wrote down some boosted stories from campaigns that I've been in because that's what you told me to do. So I don't know if you want me to tell one of those or if we just want to continue to shoot the breeze because I'm down with either thing.
Okay, well, if you've written down some campaign story that you want to talk about, yeah, go for it. I'd say that's really cool because, you know, everybody's experience is different and we all have different stories about the different stuff we've been in for campaigns-wise and what characters we played, so...
Okay, Shadowrun or World of Darkness?
How about Shadowrun, since we've been like liking that?
So the first Shadowrun campaign I was ever in, the main bad guy was this. He was an elf poser, but we found out later that he was a vampire, and he kept on sending us to do these things, and we like really hated this guy, and we kept getting thrown out of his office for being too rowdy. But for some reason, he kept calling us back in anyway. And at one point we finally decided, nah, this guy's got to go. So we had decided, because he was messing with this other NPC, and we needed him to go and fix her. So we were going to go capture him and bring him back to this other place. So the plan that we had made was that our research had turned up vampires have allergies to wood. So I went up in his business and was being really flirty, and then I shanked him and like kind of put a splinter in his body, and it kind of sacked him of all his powers, and we put him in the back of our truck and started out. And I'm like behind the truck on this motorcycle that I have, and about halfway there's this combustion sound inside the truck, and suddenly I'm covered in vampire dust. Because as it turns out, he was taking damage the whole time that splinter was in him, and that is how I accidentally killed a 500-year-old vampire.
Wow.
With a splinter.
With a splinter?
Yeah.
That's some splinter. That's a really nasty allergy.
Yeah, the way allergies work in Shadowrun is really boosted, but it was really funny. My character was absolutely traumatized. Like, she had bits of him in her mouth. It was not good.
Oh, he's in my eyes. Oh, man. That's gotta be moldery, you know? Sorry, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so you guys didn't know, or did you say, oh, no, well, this will keep him down until...
We just thought it was going to keep him, like, from misting on us. We didn't know he was taking damage the whole time that splinter was in him, and then it killed him eventually.
That's a serious allergy. You know what? Are allergies considered something that you can take as, like, a flaw?
As a flaw, yeah.
Something? Okay, well, then they've got to be nasty, I guess.
Yeah. Like, we didn't realize how it worked because it was our first time playing, and in that way.
Schmoozing with a vampire. Stick him with a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I would be the most paranoid vampire ever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, where you're sitting right now would be problematic for you because there's wood right behind your head.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sawdust. Man, you could probably kill a vampire with sawdust.
Okay, I'm putting that on my list of things to remember next time I play Shadowrun. Pocket full of sawdust. It works as pocket sand, and in case vampires show up.
Yeah, or something like a hopper with sawdust, and you could have CO2 cartridge just like. So if it got close, it was just like macing them or pepper spraying them.
Yeah.
Well, actually, probably would kill them actually if they couldn't get it out of their body.
Oh man, like in the eyes and the nose. Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, undead physiology works a little different, so they wouldn't breathe, but maybe they like get some in their mouth or something, or get some in the crook of their eye, and
you just wait until they're talking.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Sawdust, CO2, boom. And added bonus, if you do it at a certain particulate size, you could light it on fire, and it could be like a combustion flame explosion, a dust explosion. So, added bonus, it could be fire. All right, well, I have to head out. It's been great having you here, Megan. Thank you for helping me fill the hour. And really cool to hear your stories, as well as talk about your article, Speak with Dead. And that is up to what? I think it's going to be number 6 coming up, or am I off?
Yes, absolutely, number 6. And thank you so much for having me on here.
You're welcome. And again, if you want to, you can either comment on nerdarchy.com on her articles. If you want to have more, if you have more questions, you can put it in the comments below, or you can email.
Or you could tweet to #SpeakWithDead.
Great. Tweet a #SpeakWithDead. That will work really well for getting it out there. So those are the 3 ways you could contact Megan about your Speak with Dead questions. And let us know what you think in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again to everyone who helped get the Nerdarchy crew, Nerdarchy Dave and Ted, out to LA for the Geek and Sundry recording with Satine Phoenix. That was really helpful. And thank you again to all our patrons and the people that support us by just watching and sharing and liking our content that we put out there. And again, thank you, Megan, for doing all that writing for us, as well as assisting with the Patreon level rewards as well. So,
yeah, it's so fun.
Great. I'm glad you like it. So until next time, everybody, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.